operation was successful on the body of the American prisoner of war, and Dr. Sadao was able to take out a bullet from near his kidney. This is what we found in our previous video, and now some more interesting things are going to take place. We found that after the operation was successful, Dr. Sadao left, and now we will find Hannah going to have a look at the latest status of the American prisoner of war who was lying in their bedroom, in a room in their house. You see page number 36 towards the beginning of it. When she came in the first time, she saw him summon his small strength to be prepared for some fearful thing. Don't be afraid, she begged him softly. How come you speak English? He gasped. I was a long time in America, she replied. So it was a big thing. Both the husband and wife were hesitant what to do, whether to hand over the American prisoner of war to the army, to the Japanese army, or to treat him. This was a fight in their mind, and they could not decide, and finally during their indecision they have come so far that they have been able to successfully operate this prisoner of war. And now Hannah went to see him, and going there she felt very sympathetic towards him, and he was trying to do something. She found he was trying to do something, and he was looking afraid, and Hannah, she tried to console him and said, don't be afraid. When she said don't be afraid, the American soldier said, how come you speak in English? Because you were a Japanese, how come you speak in English? Hannah said, I was there in America. I was there for a long time. When she says this, the American soldier, the American prisoner of war must be happy because he has got someone who lived in his country. She saw that he wanted to reply to that, but he could not, and so she knelt and fed him gently from the porcelain spoon. He ate unwillingly, but still he ate. Hearing this, the soldier was trying to speak something, but he could not. He was very weak indeed, and Hannah fed him gently. Now you will soon be strong, she said, not liking him and yet moved to comfort him. The indecision, the hesitation, this confusion is still there in the mind of Hannah and Dr. Sadao. Hannah is feeding him, taking care of him, feeling bad for this miserable state of this American prisoner of war. At the same time, she said that she did not like him, yet she was moved to comfort him. When she said, now you will soon be strong, she was trying to encourage him, to inspire him that yes, you will be okay very soon. He did not answer. When Sadao came in the third day after the operation, he found the young man sitting up, his face bloodless with the effort. When Sadao came in the third day, Sadao came to see the patient, and he found this young prisoner of war, the American prisoner of war. He was sitting up. From his lying position, he was sitting up, and while trying to sit up from his lying position, he made a lot of efforts, and as a result, his face looked bloodless. Sadao became angry, as doctors often become angry with their patients when they find that patients are not doing the things in the right way. Dr. Sadao said, lie down. Do you want to die? The way you are trying to sit up, you will lead yourself to death. Do you want to die? Lie down. He forced the man down gently and strongly and examined the wound. You may kill yourself if you do this sort of thing, he scolded. He scolded the soldier and said, if you act like this, you will kill yourself. What are you going to do with me? The boy muttered. He looked just now barely 17. Are you going to hand me over? He is now back to his senses, and he has understood that he is now in a Japanese house, and he is asking Dr. Sadao, what are you going to do with me? Are you going to hand me over to the police? This is the fear in his mind, and the fear is quite justified. For him, and he looks like a 17-year, his age is barely 17, a very young soldier. What are you going to do with me? The boy muttered. He looked just now barely 17. Are you going to hand me over? For a moment, Sadao did not answer, because Sadao doesn't have the answer. He doesn't know what he is going to do. This whole situation, he and his wife are in confusion, they are in hesitation, they are treating him, trying to bring him back to health, but what they are going to do, why they are treating him, they are still in confusion. So He finished his examination and then pulled the silk quilt over the man. He did not answer anything to the prisoner of war. He just made a checkup of the body of the prisoner, and he pulled the silk quilt over the man. I do not know myself what I shall do with you. Then he is saying, I do not know myself what I am going to do with you. I ought of course to give you to the police. You were a prisoner of war. No, do not tell me anything. He put up his hand as he saw the young man was about to speak. Do not even tell me your name unless I ask it. Dr. Sadao said, yes, I do not know what I am going to do with you, but of course I need to, I ought to, I should hand you over to the police because you are from America and all Americans are our enemies. At that time, the prisoner of war tried to say something. Dr. Sadao said, no, don't try to say me anything. Don't try to speak out. Even don't tell me your name also unless I ask it. They looked at each other for a moment, and then the young man closed his eyes and turned his face to the wall. Okay, he whispered, his mouth a bitter line. The prisoner of war has no choice because this man has treated me, he has brought me back to good health, and he is saying that I should not say anything, I should not even tell my name also if he doesn't ask me. I have no choice. He said, okay. Outside the door, Hana was waiting for Sadao. He saw at once that she was in trouble. Yes, there is another trouble now. So far as the treatment is concerned, the American prisoner is getting it very nicely. He is operated upon successfully. Now the problem is in the family itself. What is the problem? Hana is reporting to Sadao that the servants have threatened that they will leave the house. They don't want to stay in such a house where the owners of the house are acting against the interest of their own country. Sadao, Yumi tells me the servants feel they cannot stay if we hide this man here anymore. She said, she tells me that they are saying that you and I were so long in America and that we have forgotten to think of our own country. They think we like Americans. Hana is telling her husband that these servants, Yumi and other servants, they said they cannot stay with us. They said that because we were in America, we have become like Americans. We do not see the interest of our own country. We have started liking the Americans. Sadao said, this is not the fact, this is not true. Americans are my enemies. But I have been trained to help a man, to treat a man if I can. I should treat a man if I can. This is what my teachers have taught me and this is what I am doing. But so far as the Americans are concerned, they are all my enemies. This is the difference. Hana said, but servants do not understand this thing. This is of course true. So they all agreed, yes, this is the fact. We are doing it because as doctors it is our job to save a human life if we can. This does not mean that we are against the interest of Japan. This does not mean that we like the Americans. But the servants do not understand this thing. Neither seem to able to say more, and somehow the household dragged on. The servants grew more watchful. Servants now they remain the same courteous, the same polite towards their masters, but they were observing everything very minutely from now. And they are saying it is clear that what our master ought to do. There is a gardener. Out of all the servants, one is a gardener who has been for long years working in their family. When Dr. Sadao was a small child, since then this gardener is working. He is expert in planting the flowers and taking care of the flowers. And in the next two paragraphs, you will find a difference between the servant's mentality and the mentality of the doctor. Dr. Sadao himself is a Japanese, his wife is also a Japanese, but their mentality, their outlook is different. They have a global outlook. They know that a human being is a human being, no matter what nationality he is. But for the servants, they only know we are Japanese. This is a very vital issue nowadays also. If you are a patriot, it means you love your country, you love those people belonging to your country. What about other people who don't belong to your country? Aren't they human beings? Don't you have some liability towards them also? Dr. Sadao, this is where the difference is between Dr. Sadao and his wife on one hand and the servants on the other. Dr. Sadao and his wife, they are very much Japanese, but they have their liability towards human beings from any country. So, servants are saying that my old master's son knows very well what he ought to do. He now said, pinching a bird from a bush as he spoke, when the man was so near death, why did he not let him bleed? This servant is saying this thing, that this gardener, he is saying that our master, Dr. Sadao, knows it very well what he should do. He knows it as a Japanese that his job was to hand over the man to the police. And my question is, why did he not let him die? When he found the man bleeding, why did he operate and take out the bullet? Why didn't he allow him to die? Why did he do such kind of things? As a Japanese, was it right on his part to do it? This is the justification, this is the way that Gardiner thinks. And while saying this, the Gardiner pulls one bird from a bush. This is something symbolic. This is where you find the huge difference between the Gardiner and Dr. Sadao. The Gardiner pulls a bird from a bush. It means he is killing, he is creating harm causing harm to nature, to life, because plants also have life, and if you are pulling a bird out of bush, it means you are killing life. This is what the Gardiner was. In the next paragraph, you will find a similar thing about Yumi, about Cook. That young master is so proud of his skill to save life that he saves any life, the Cook said contemptuously. The Cook, in a very unpleasant note, said that, yes, our master is so expert in medical science, he is so good in operation that he is ready to save any life, no matter which country it belongs to. Even if it belongs to our enemy country, he is ready to save it. This is what our master is. She is saying this with a note of contempt. And while saying this, she split a fowl's neck skillfully and held the fluttering bird and let its blood flow into the roots of a wisteria vine. See the cruelty. The Cook, while saying this thing, that our master is so expert in surgery that he can save any life, while saying this, she pulled the neck of a bird, and then because of the pulling of the neck of the bird started flowing, and she just held it, and the bird's drops of blood fell on the root of a wisteria vine, and name of a plant. Blood is the best of fertilizers, and the old Gardiner would not let her waste a drop of it. This is what the Gardiner is. She is killing a bird, a living bird. Blood, she is making the flow of blood from the body of a living bird. And again, we earlier found about the Cook who took we earlier found about the Gardiner who took a bird from the bush. This indicates that these people are cruel to life. One is making the flow of blood from a living bird, another is taking a bird from a bush. This means they have this kind of attitude towards other living organisms. And in by this the author is showing us that Dr. Sadao and his wife were very humane. They were very kind-hearted. For them, all human beings across the world, irrespective of geographical and political identities, are all same. But for those poor people, those ordinary people like the common Japanese people, like the Cook or the Gardiner, for them, they are even killing birds and plants for their own interest. This is the huge difference between an ordinary Japanese and a cultured and well-educated Japanese like Dr. Sadao and his wife. And then Yumi is saying, it is the children of whom we must think. We are not concerned about Dr. Sadao and his wife, we are less concerned about them. It is the children, because we have been working in this family for long years, and with the children we have got a lot of intimacy. Yes, if some servants work at your home for many years, they start having a kind of intimacy with the children start loving them, the children enjoy the company of those servants. This happens in our families also. So the same is the case. Yumi is saying, it is the children of whom we must think, what will be their fate if their father is condemned as a traitor. The way Dr. Sadao is supporting and helping this prisoner of war, if he is judged, if he is sent to jail, if he is killed by the law of Japan, what will happen to these small children? This is what we are concerned about. They did not try to hide what they said from the ears of Hana as she stood arranging the day's flowers in the veranda nearby. When they said this thing, even Hana could hear. And they also spoke in such a way that let Hana hear it. Let Hana know what our intentions are. Let Hana know what our mentality is. That we are concerned about your children. You people may go to jail, but what will happen to them? That is our concern. But the fact is that even Hana, still she is saying that we are not concerned about America, but she is saying that it was not that they were right, she knew too in most of her being, but there was another part of her which she herself could not understand. Hannah agrees, yes, these people are right. You, me, or the cook or the servant, when they say that we people are not doing the right thing, as Japanese, we should not have acted in this way. They are right. But what about us? She said, we are not sentimental actually. We are not sentimental towards the prisoner. We don't like him. Even when the prisoner wanted to tell his name, he willingly told of his own choice. He told his name is Tom. From now onwards, we will call this American prisoner for Tom, because he has himself told his name Tom. Hannah did not have any interest in knowing his name also. She saw heart in his eyes, but she did not wish to assuage it. Hannah said, I am not that much concerned about the prisoner. It is the primary responsibility as doctors that we are doing. I saw some heart on his eyes. I did not bother to treat it. It is about a life only. We wanted that let his life not be lost. It was a major case of medical complicacy. That is what we just tried to handle, nothing else. Indeed, he was a great trouble in his house. So then we found in the next paragraph, the Sadao examined the wound carefully again. Every day he would do it, and like a very dedicated doctor, he would regularly come and he will arrange it. He will check the patient's pulse, everything. And then what happened? In a fortnight, the Dr. Sada was of the view that in a fortnight the patient would become quite well. And then this day Dr. Sada went to his office and he wrote a letter. He wrote a letter to the chief of police. What is he going to write? He wrote a letter telling everything, because he also knew that now if the servants report this to the police, we will be in difficulty. So he himself is writing a letter to the police, chief of police. And on the letter he wrote, on the 21st day of February, an escaped prisoner was washed up on the shore in front of my house. So far he typed, and then he opened a secret drawer of his desk and put the unfinished report into it. Just wrote this thing, the first sentence. Then he did not continue. He opened a drawer and he put this unfinished letter there. On the 7th day after that, what happened? Two things happened. The first thing is that all the servants, they said, we are leaving. They have arranged all their things and they said, we are leaving. And now getting up in the morning, Hannah found that nothing is done, no cleaning is done, no food is prepared. She could make it well. She could understand that it means the servants are agitating, they are leaving. But as the mistress of the house, she thought that if she goes and requests them, if she said, why are you leaving? Then that is also a difficult situation, because they are in a very unusual position, because if the servants report it, it will be difficulty. Again, they cannot request them also, because after all I am the owner of the house. So Dr. Sadao's wife did not show any kind of sentiment, any kind of reaction towards it. She let them go. But while going, they cried. The servants cried. Dr. Sadao's wife did not cry. And Yumi was so intimate with the children that she left along with all other servants. But again she came back and she told Hannah that if the baby misses me too much tonight, send for me. I am going to my own house and you know where it is. See the sentiment, the intimacy. Yumi came back and told Hannah that if the baby misses me, just let me know, I will come. Hannah did not say anything. She just said thank you. And while saying thank you, she decided that even if my child misses you, even if my child cries for you, I will not let you come. You are leaving our house, go. This is what her intention was. So their husband and wife, they made the breakfast today. Then Dr. Hannah told her husband that, see what we are doing. We are not doing the right thing. Why are we allowing this man? Why are you treating him? Because our servants, they can clearly think. They are of the clear view that we should not allow this man to stay in our house. We should not treat him. But we, in spite of being educated, we are not to think in clear terms. We are hesitating. We are in confusion. Why this? Why can't we take a decision? This is what Hannah told her husband. Then Sadao did not answer anything, and he then went to the room of the prisoner of war. And going there, he abruptly told this man that today you may get up of your own feet. You can stand up today. I want you to stay up only 5 minutes at a time. You can practice this. You can stand up 5 minutes. You remain standing. Tomorrow you may try twice, 2 times. It means you may stand for 10 minutes. I hope very quickly you will get back your health. And while saying this, he saw a flicker of terror. He saw some glimpse of terror on the eyes of the prisoner, because the prisoner is afraid that they are treating me, I am getting back to life, to health. Then what will happen? Will they hand me over to the police? This was his fear. So this fear was visible in his eyes. The boy said, okay. Evidently, he was determined to say more. I feel I ought to thank you, doctor, for having saved my life. This prisoner of war said, I thank you for saving me. Don't thank me too early, Dr. Sadao said coldly. Dr. Sadao coldly said, don't thank me so early. She again saw the glimpse of terror on the eyes of the boy's eyes, because the boy was afraid, thinking about what is going to happen to him. Sadao saw the scar on his back, on his neck. He did not ask anything. In the afternoon, the second thing happened. First thing in the morning happened, the servants all left. And in the afternoon, another thing is happening. What is it? Hannah was working hard on the unaccustomed labor. It means the kind of labor, the kind of work she is doing, she is not habituated to it. Servants used to do it, but now it is all hard duty. She has started doing all the household activities. And while doing things, she saw a messenger in official uniform has come to their home. This is something really very terrific, because in the morning the servants left. There is every possibility they have reported to the police, and that's why in a police uniform some messengers have come. Her hands went weak and she could not draw her breath. Hannah became really very afraid, and she is sure the servants have reported this to the police. She ran to Sadao, gasping, unable to utter a word, what to say. But before she could say anything, the messenger in the uniform also followed her, and he also went near Sadao. Then Hannah pointed out to this newcomer and told Sadao that this man has come. Sadao was studying his book. He looked up from his book and he saw the man in the uniform, and he said, what is it? What have you brought? The man has brought some letter. The man has not brought any letter. The man just went to give some verbal information. Sadao asked, what is it? It means, why have you come? You have come in a uniform. You are from the official military team, the police team. What is the matter? The messenger said, you are to come to the palace. The old general is in pain again. We earlier found it that Dr. Sadao was not sent to the battlefield because of two reasons. One reason was that the general was in a critically, his health condition was very critical. At any time an operation may be needed, so Dr. Sadao's presence is needed. Now the messenger came and said, sir, you have to go to the palace. The general is having very severe pain. Hannah got relief, and Hannah said, oh, is that all? Is that all? The messenger said, what is this all? It's a serious thing. General is in pain and you are saying, is that all? All? The messenger exclaimed, what do you mean by all? Is it not enough? The general is ill, seriously ill. Isn't it enough for us to come and inform him that he should go? Actually, Hannah told this, she made this reaction without her knowing. It came automatically. Now when she realized her mistake, she said, indeed it is. I am very sorry. When Sadao came to say goodbye, she was in the kitchen. Sadao came to say goodbye to Hannah and said that yes, I am leaving, I am going to attend the general. Hannah said, I was really afraid that police might have come to arrest you. So then Sadao leaves, he goes to the general's palace, and there the general told Sadao in a very weak way that I understand your situation. This means the general somehow, we don't know how, the general has already come to know this thing, that Dr. Sadao has allowed a prisoner of war in his house, he is treating him. Just simply the general said that I understand fully your situation, because I also studied in America, and the Japanese, whoever have gone to America, they have this kind of change in their attitude, they become more human, they start loving Americans. Yes, of course you will, because you lived in their country, they loved you, in return you should love. So the general said, I know your situation. Sadao said, I do not care about the man, but I have operated on him with success. The general said, this makes me feel that you are more indispensable for me. If you could operate upon a foreigner, upon a man from an enemy country, and you could successfully operate, it means for me you are more needed. Then the general said, I cannot allow anything to happen to you. Don't be afraid. Don't think that I am going to do anything against you, because I need you. That's why I am not going to do anything. Then he told Dr. Sadao, you cannot be arrested. And suppose you were condemned to death and the next day I had to have an operation. He is explaining his justification why he cannot be arrested, why I won't do anything against you. Because, for example, I make some arrangements, I report to the higher authority and you are arrested, and the very next day I need an operation, or you are condemned to death and the next day I need an operation. Who will operate me? So I need you. See how this also is there among officers, among high officials. They give value to their personal interest. This is what this general is doing. Personally, he needs Dr. Sadao. Sadao's presence is needed for his own benefit, and he is clearly telling it. This is also a kind of corruption practiced throughout the whole world. Dr. Sadao said, what if I am condemned to death? Because other surgeons are there, they may operate upon you. Then the general said, no. All other surgeons in Japan, they were trained by trained in Germany. They are not at all good. They may, even if I am dying, they will say the operation is successful. Such surgeons they are. I cannot believe them. So, saying these things, they have some fun, they have some humor, and then the general makes a proposal. The general gives a suggestion to, this is very interesting, to Dr. Sadao, that do one thing. I understand you are in difficulty. You have treated him, he is now good in health, but what to do next? If you report it to the police, then you may be in difficulty, because why did you operate on him? The general said, one way is there. This prisoner of war may be killed by some assassins. I have assassins. Assassin means those who kill others from some hidden places. He said, I have some private assassins. I have some trained people who are expert in killing others. I can send them to your house. You just take that outer door open, so that at night they may go and they can silently kill. They are so expert that even the blood will not flow outside. The blood will remain inside the body, and there will be no sound also. They can just go and silently kill, and even they can remove the dead body also. In this way you can be saved. Dr. Sadao found this not a bad idea, because he is in difficulty what to do with this prisoner of war. When the general himself gives this offer, because the general is also supporting Sadao, because he also needs Sadao. So when this kind of suggestion comes from the general himself, the Sadao finds it a bit acceptable, and this is, he says, this is a way out to save myself and somehow to get rid of this nuisance. He agrees, and then Sadao said, perhaps would be the best. His Excellency, he agreed, thinking of Hana. He said, yes, because I have to think about my wife, my children, my family. If I somehow get rid of this situation, and since general himself is helping, he himself is proposing, he will send the assassins, they will kill silently, they will remove the dead body, I have nothing to worry. Okay, then this will happen. He agreed, and with this agreement, he goes to his house. What happens next? Does the general really send assassins to kill the American prisoner of war, and whether the dead body is removed, or whether Sadao does something else? What happens next is having some more suspense. It is more interesting. So let us meet again in the next video to see some more exciting and interesting things. If you have not subscribed to my video, please do it now, and we are going to meet in the next video very soon. Thank you very much.